What's your full name?
Lucille Gardner Jones,
And how old are you?
99. I'm an old lady.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Wow. I think we all hope to make it that far, huh?
Well, my doctor said to me, I'll see you in 6 months. And I said, oh, I bet you will. And he says, I'll see you in 6 months. So he said that last time, and I went 6 months ago. I went a few months ago, and he said, you're fine. I'll see you in 6 months. That was Dr. Ghani.
When was your birth date?
April the 12th, 1919.
Okay, and where were you born?
Blackfoot, Idaho. Oh, I had wonderful parents. They were William Edward Gardner and Nancy Evelyn Stone. They came from Salem, Utah. And they came to Blackfoot and homesteaded a piece of ground to grow potatoes. He and 7 brothers left Utah. And he brought my mother when they'd been married 2 years. They had 2 little children. And they came to Blackfoot and homesteaded a farm and planted potatoes. And it's called Sunset Farms today, and it plants thousands of acres of the best potatoes that's on the market. Yeah, and they're both gone. All my family's gone but me.
How many siblings do you have?
You mean children?
How many brothers and sisters did you have?
Oh, I had a sister Zella, a sister Marcine, a brother Cloyd, a brother Morris, a brother Ivan.
So
then there was me.
Were you the youngest?
No, I was the middle one. I was the only one that didn't have a name, except they all had a middle name except me, and I just didn't have one. I was the only blonde in the family. The rest had beautiful black hair. My grandma Gardner, Ellen Gardner Snow, had red hair, red curly hair, and my daughter Marilyn takes after that. For fun, well, we worked in the fields. I thinned beets, I hoed beets, I picked potatoes, I raked hay. We had a threshing machine that went around and threshed the wheat and made grain to make bread. And I drove the team that did that. I loved to drive the horses. I had a little horse named, I can't remember his name, 2 Bits. I loved him, and I could ride him like a wind. The school, well, I went to grade school on Rose and graduated from the 8th grade. And then the school burned down, and so then they made the kids go into Blackfoot. So I went to Blackfoot High School, graduated from high school there. And then, yeah, we never did go to college. None of our family did. In those days, if you didn't get married before you were 18, you were an old maid. But I got married right after I got out of school.
What was your favorite thing to learn about in school?
I love geography, the world. It really appealed to me. I want to read out every state, every city. And since I've been married, I've done that. I've read a lot about the different countries. I love them.
When you were born, Heber J. Grant was president of the church at the time.
Yeah.
Do you have any memories of Heber J. Grant while he was still president of the church?
No, except he was a good president, and I liked him. He was firm and strong, and he told us we must live the gospel. But he was a good leader.
He was president until you were in your 20s, I think, until you were about 25.
Yeah. My favorite one, though, was, I can't remember his name. He had long hair and curly.
David O. McKay.
Yeah, David O. McKay. He's my favorite president. But I don't know. As I come and go, I love all of them. I love President Monson, President Grant. David O. McKay, I guess, is my president, my favorite one still.
Yeah, he was with us for a long time, too.
Yeah. He's a handsome man, a good man. When our Doug was very sick, they took him to Salt Lake. No, he was in Salt Lake Hospital with cancer, and his wife took him, called the Salt Lake Hospital and said, would he, President, give Doug a blessing? And he said, bring him down to the office and we'll work him in. So she went down and sat at the office in Salt Lake City with Doug. And he said, we'll have someone at your hospital room at a certain hour tonight to give you a blessing. And he did. He came. It was LeGrand Richards. And his one of the counselors, I can't remember who it was, and he gave Doug a blessing. He said, I can't talk about it. He said that I should give him a blessing. He came to us as a family. We were separated in a different area in the room, and he said, take him home. Take him home. He wants to go home. So we took him home. That was his Friday, and he died Monday.
When you heard about Pearl Harbor?
I was out to my mother's, and my brother was sick, and we called home because we didn't think he was going to live. He had underlip fever. He was just a young man in high school, and it was on a Sunday morning, and we got up and they told us that we'd been Pearl Harbor had been bombed. Pearl Harbor had been bombed, and that's when I heard it. So, and I had a little baby, little boy, Samuel Douglas Jones, and I knew that, well, what was going to happen, we'd all go to war. And that was a long time ago, and it was a long war. It's when Germany and Japan tried to take over our country from Hitler. Hitler was a great boss of the world, he thought. But we surprised him. At high school, at a dance, he asked me to dance when I was a freshman. I said, no, I don't dance. I'm not dancing tonight, because he was short, and I didn't know who he was, and he had on this outfit. He said, Doyle Jones Repair Shop on the shirt. I thought, stupid. What are you wearing that for to a dance? It was a church dance. Well, anyway, I said no. That was when I was a freshman. And when I was a sophomore, maybe a little more later, anyway, years later, I went to a dance, went back to school, and I said, who's that good-looking boy up there on the stage? And they said, it's Samuel Doyle Jones. And he could sing, he could dance, was in all the plays. He led the band, he was a drum major in the band, he twirled. I thought, oh boy. And I turned him down years ago. Well, anyway, I made up my mind he was going to go with me. And so they had a dance, and it was a lady's choice. And I looked across the hall, and there was Doyle. And so I walked over there, and I said, would you give me a date, this dance? And he said, yeah. So we danced together. We did the waltz. the Viennese waltzer was, and we won the waltz show. So that's how I met him, and that was it. Grandpa, he had he went to school to become a upholsteryman, a repairman. They built these cane chairs. You ever see a cane chair? Anyway, he did all the weaving on that, and he'd polish the chairs, upholster the furniture. He did that for a while, and then he would come to Salt Lake when the war was started, and they need lots of mattresses, and so they asked him if he would learn to build mattresses. So Walter M. Stover from Salt Lake City taught Dad to build mattresses. So he came back to Blackfoot, and he and his father and brother started Blackfoot Mattress Company. That's where he did for a while. And then the war came, and he went to war. And then he come home. And when he come home, he went back to the business to become a upholstery man. He sold iron-ride ironers. He was a salesman. And anyway, he sold ironers and furniture, and had Blackfoot Furniture Company in Blackfoot. He and his dad and brothers. And then he went, this is stupid, he went into the water softener business and sold water softeners. And then he became a, what do you call it, when they go out on the call and he tells them if they were dead?
Oh, I don't know. That's not the mortician, is it?
Yeah, mortician. He was a mortician in Blackfoot for 17 years. And while I was there, he became, he was a mortician because he became sick. We didn't know what it was. But anyway, he had Alzheimer's, not Alzheimer's, but dementia. And he fell one morning. He got up. I was fixing his breakfast one Saturday morning, and I said, Doyle, your breakfast is ready. He was in the bathroom shaving. And he said, okay, I'll be right there. And I suddenly heard a flop. And I said, Doyle. He says, come and help me. I went to help him. I couldn't help him. He was hurt too bad. And we saw the mortician, and they came over, the ambulance. They came over, took him to the hospital in Blackfoot, and he was there for a few days, and then he passed away with pneumonia. My first job, I didn't work very much. I just stayed home. I finally, when we had some children and we had our first son get ready to go on a mission, I thought I need to help earn a little bit of money because we had to spend so much each month on a mission. And my husband was working hard, and we didn't seem to think he was making enough, so I went and asked our county commissioner if they had any work, and he said, yes, we do. Our county commissioner was George Brower, and he said, I'll call you right now. Will you come and take care of the food in Bingham County and see that everyone gets food? I said, yes, I will, yeah. So I went and was interviewed by a lady from Pocatello, a nun. She was a nun, and she ran it. It was a government job. And I worked there for years and years and years. And then I went to the doctor one day, and he said, how old are you? And I told him, he says, you got to stop working. And I said, oh, no. He says, yes, one of these days you're going to fall, and you need to stop working. And so I did. teaching your kids what they should do and hoping and praying they do it. I had wonderful family. They were good kids. They were rebellious lots of times like kids, but good. Had three boys, and two of them went on mission. Doug went to Germany. Barry went to, that island.
Hawaii?
Yeah, no,
Tonga?
no,
Fiji?
no.
Or Japan? Like a Polynesian island?
Well, they spoke. He had it low. It's where they have a lot of floods and people have little squinty eyes. Anyway, flew over there. He didn't have to learn a language, but he learned it was called I can't think of that. They had earthquakes over there. They just barely built a temple over there. But anyway,
Was it in the Caribbean or the Pacific?
What?
Was it in the Caribbean or the Pacific?
Pacific. It was a little island, and he had to fly from one island to another to teach. They'd go on a boat. I don't know. I can't remember. Anyway, we went there on a mission, and then Doug went to the States on a mission. Oh, loving your children. I love children. I haven't never seen a child I couldn't love. I got to care for them and teach them. I taught young women for years and years, and I loved every one of them. And I love my own children, my grandchildren, my great-grandchildren. I love them. They teach you a lot. They're smarter than heck. They're smarter nowadays than they used to be. It scares me when I see how intelligent the children are.
A lot has changed since you were a kid, huh?
Oh, yes.
The world's a different place, huh?
It is a different place. I sometimes wake up and think, is this really true? Is this true? It is.
What changes about the world from when you were a kid amaze you the most?
What?
What changes in the world amaze you the most that you've seen?
The gospel has changed so much in just the last year with our new prophet. And given the priesthood to black people, that was another change. That was a shock to me. But anyway, it's good. I guess this change is good. I just haven't got used to it yet. I love our prophets.
Has it been crazy to see how technology has changed?
Yes, it's changed a lot. Who was it that flew the first aeroplane? Amelia Earhart. She flew the first aeroplane, and that was amazing.
Yeah, she was the first woman to fly. And
yeah, she was.
And she tried to fly across the Atlantic, I think, or the Pacific.
No, she's a smart lady, smart lady. But I think my favorite president was the one that was killed in Texas.
Do you remember that day when, are you talking about John F. Kennedy?
Yeah, I thought he was a good man, amazing man, and his wife was amazing also. It was a true story. I remember the day that he was killed, just plain as it could be. I was at work and they called me at the school and said, our president has been shot and he's died in Texas. And I thought, oh no. And so he was. Well, we went to Jamaica and spent a week, and I left it. We went all over there. We saw the crocodiles and how they raised all the cinnamons, the cinnamon, nutmeg, It was just important. I loved that. That was nice. And the alligators would come up and swim right up to the stupid streets in your backyard. Ooh, I wouldn't live there. That was good. And then we went to Europe, and I loved Germany. It was a beautiful place. So beautiful. The people were so good. I couldn't figure out how Hitler got over and done so many weird things. We went to where he took all the people and held them prisoners, and they died. They took us in that place, and it gives me chills to this day. We saw the poor people there taken in and put into prison and die, starved to death. So that's why I love our prophet, our president, the counselor, the presidency of the church, so good. President Doyle. He was a good man, but he touched my heart somehow.
Now, did you say you and Grandpa, did you guys serve a mission, or
No.
or you were just saving up money for your boys' missions?
None of my family none of my brothers and sisters was called on missions. They didn't do that in those days. As soon as you got out of high school, you either got a job or got married or you were an old maid. But we worked on the farm and helped provide a living with our mom and dad. No. Well, when I was a little girl, my dad and mom, I wasn't alive, but they only had 2 children. They come up from Utah because my dad wanted to raise sugar beets, and his brother had already come here, Uncle Ab, and was raising sheep. And he called my dad and he said, I'd like you. And my dad's father died with a heart attack suddenly and left 7 little boys and his wife. So Grandpa and his brothers made the trip they trekked to Blackfoot, and Dad took out a homestead out in Rose and started raising potatoes. And it was successful. And it was a hard, hard life. We had to thin beets and plant beets and plant potatoes and hoe and shred, haul hay. We worked from day to night. If we have a holiday, we would go down to Groveland and have run races and have a parade with our 24th of July's outfits. But anyway, that's the way we lived. Very humble. It was good. I loved it.
Did you have electricity?
No, we had, when I was first born, we had a furnace. No, we had a wood stove up in the kitchen. And my mother would get us up early in the morning to get ready to go to school. And oh, it was so cold in that house. And the bedrooms were ice cold. And so I'd go out and sit on the oven door to keep warm to get ready to go to school. It was cold and hard winter. Finally we got a coal. Our house burned down when I was 5 years old. All of us kids we were practically orphans. And my Uncle Ab and Aunt Minnie took us in their home, and we stayed there till Dad built us a new home. And then we didn't stay there all the time. We stayed there. It was in the winter time, and then we stayed there till summer, and then we went and lived in the garage where our new home was built, and it still stands right today. And it's a beautiful home out in Rose. Well, we had lots of fun. We went snowmobiling, horseback riding. Took trips, did trips with our kids when we got older. just lots of fun things. Not anything expensive we went to. Just kind of played around home. I loved to ski behind a horse. That was my most fun when I was little. I was a good skier, and I lost my wedding rings when I was skiing behind a horse. We just got married and went home to visit in Rose, and my sister was there, and she says, "Lucille, let me clean your wedding rings. They're so beautiful." They were beautiful to a boy. And so I took them off and let her to clean them. And we went skiing in the snow. And I fell in the snow, and I took my gloves off and shook them. And I went home, and I was sitting there getting them warm at the house. And she said, "Where's your rings?" I said, "They're on my finger." "No, they're not. There's nothing on your finger." We looked, and they were gone. So we went and melted snow off. Then on the next day, never found my rings, never to this day have I found up my wedding and engagement ring. They were gone. They were beautiful. So I went for years without a wedding ring. And little Lucas gave me this. Oh yeah, I remember the first booth I saw was a Sunny Side Up. That was the first live production. Otherwise, we went on Saturday. We'd see a movie, but it was silent. There was 3 theaters in Blackfoot. One had Roy Rogers, and I loved it. Oh, who was that little girl that sang?
Shirley Temple?
Yeah, I loved her movie. And then I loved The Sound of Music, too. It was the first. We went to Salt Lake to see that because the first loud movie we saw was The Sound of Music.
Do you have old movie stars that you remember that you like, that were your favorite?
What?
Who are your favorite stars in the movies?
I guess Shirley Temple, and I loved that gal that sang in the German music, the musicals. What was that song?
In Sound of Music?
Huh?
Julie Andrews?
Yeah, she sang Sky in Every Mountain. Oh, she didn't sing that one, but it was a good story. I love it. I had the record for a long time, but it got lost. The recording. What am I going to do? I don't know. I'll have to think about it. I cannot be 100 years old. I don't know. I got a child, Barry, and children, Brett and children, Mike and children, Marilyn and children. I guess I'll be with them. And grandchildren. A lot of lovely ones. Good people. And Marilyn and Terry are good people. Oh yeah, I liked my mother to make donuts and chocolate pie and steak. My dad used to take us to Fred's Cafe in Idaho Falls to have steak and whipped potatoes and gravy and beets, pickled beets, and just food. I like food, all foods.
What was your favorite thing to cook for the kids?
What?
What do you like to cook for the kids?
To cook what they like. When I was little, I'd cook what they like what the kids eat. And just ate ordinary foods, and on the farm you ate what you raised, and we had good food. Our steaks were beautiful. My mother would put pork in a bottle and boil it and boil it and boil it, and We'd have boiled pork sandwiches, and oh, it was good. And chicken and turkey and all that good stuff. I like Thanksgiving dinner, Christmas dinner, just food. Well, I guess my first church calling was a teacher of the Trekker boys in primary, in the ward, Blackfoot First Ward. Because that's where we moved. When we bought our home in Blackfoot, we lived in the First Ward. And I loved the Trekker boys. It was just good. I think I gave my first testimony as Trekker leader. When I bore my testimony to them, I knew this gospel was true. I knew it. They loved it. And then I loved to teach the girls in Mutual. I got started in the Mutual. And that's where I spent most of my life. I was a stake president in Mutual for 10 years. We made girls' camp in Pasalocoma, Blackfoot, and built a big camp for the girls, and they still go there. So I guess I just love the church.
What callings did Doyle have?
Oh, Doyle was in the choir. He was a choir. We were both in the choir, sang. Doyle had a beautiful voice. He could sing anything, anywhere. And he was a counselor in the ward bishopric. He was a state clerk for years and years and years. And then he was a state, he was in the ward bishopric. He was a state in the council, high council in Blackfoot. I guess that was it. I'll tell you the reason why I've got through hard things is through prayer. I've always prayed, and it's been a lifesaver to me to be able to pray to my Heavenly Father and ask for blessings. Sometimes I don't know if they were answered, but I felt they were. Sometimes I felt they were not, but that was okay. I prayed. I still pray. So prayer is important. Being a good mother, be a good member of the church. I know it's true. Joseph Smith was a true prophet. I read his life not long. I read the Book of Mormon several times. But for some reason, as I got older, I was sitting reading the Book of Mormon, and I knew without a doubt it was true, and he was a true prophet. That's it. Without the gospel, what are you? Nothing.
Do you remember when abouts was the first time you began to feel that the gospel was true?
Oh, it was when I was teaching the Trekker boys. I was the primary president in our ward, and the stake leader of our church, of our state, called and said, "Sister Jones, we're having a special meeting with the young people in the stake, and we would like you to come and bear your testimony and tell us a story in the Bible or some scriptures that you know are true." And I said, "Okay." It's on a Saturday afternoon. She said, "We want your little boy, Barry, to come and sing a song." Oh, I thought, oh boy. Okay, I said, "I'll do that. I'll be there, and he'll be there." So I got Barry ready, and he was 9 years old. And he sang this song, and then I talked and told why I knew the gospel was true. And that's when I read the story of the prophet, and he was shot and killed. And I said he's crossing the plains. I had a little grandmother who walked across the plains when she was 3 years old without any shoes on her feet. It's true.